And how you doing, everybody? Vasu Party here with the VPartySports podcast, live from the Brit Sports Pub and Patio in downtown San Jose. If you're in the Bay Area, you're familiar with the area. It's about a mile down the street from the Shark Tank, where the hockey team plays. We're here every Sunday for the next 5 Sundays for NFL Sunday. Big doings going on in the NFL, the NBA, and NHL. But more importantly, the World Series starts tonight. If you know me, you know I'm a big baseball guy. Game one starting tonight for Philadelphia and the Houston Astros. Welcome in my guest, San Francisco Giants broadcaster, KNBR Weekends, talking baseball with Marty Lurie and his 4-hour Giants pregame show. How you doing, Marty? Good to see you.
Yeah, great, Vasu. It's an exciting time. It's the World Series. So, there are going to be unlikely heroes coming up here. Something's going to happen. You know that.
Well, let's start with unlikely heroes. First of all, show me your bingo cards. You have the Philadelphia Phillies and the Houston Astros being in the World Series. I want to know who had them out there, except for everybody outside of Philadelphia and Houston right now. Houston, yeah. I can see, but Philadelphia, probably not a long shot for sure.
Well, in spring training, people did consider the Phillies because they went out and spent a lot of money. They added Schwarber and Castellanos, and they had Wheeler coming back and all that stuff. And they were a team that people thought, okay, the Phillies could do some damage. Then they got off to the horrible start, and Girardi got fired. And at that point, what, 21 and 29 or something like that, there wasn't anybody in the world outside of the Philly family that thought they could get back into it.
Well, let's go into the matchup a little bit here. Game one tonight, Aaron Nola, Justin Verlander. Aaron Nola did not have the kind of year that we've known to have him had. 11-13, I think his record ended up, and Verlander injured for a little bit during the middle of the year, still ended up at 18-5, over 185 innings, 175 innings, 185 strikeouts. So I didn't think the Phillies, obviously the Phillies bullpen had a lot of trouble the first part of the year. Second half of the year, Rob Thompson comes in for Joe Girardi, and they turned it around. I had their record here somewhere. They were like 3 games under 500 or 4 games under 500 going in, and then they ended up at 63-47 under Rob Thompson from June 1st this year. I don't know how much you know about Rob Thompson. I know he was with Girardi about the Yankees, but what do you think the change was with the Phillies from the second half on, or from June 1st on?
Well, I think Rob Thompson relaxed the team. And I had him on the show from down here in Arizona. I went over to a Diamondback game, and the Phillies were playing. And Rob Thompson and I sat down and just talked. He's an easygoing guy. Nothing phases him. He's from Canada. He grew up really in the Yankee system. And he was part of George Steinbrenner's crowd and all that. But a very easygoing guy. At the end of the interview, I said, you remind me of Jack McKeon. And McKeon did exactly what Thompson has done, and that is McKeon in 2003 came in and took the Marlins to the World Series, and they won it. Well, Thompson, for me, was that kind of guy. He just seemed like a guy who should be sitting on a park bench smoking a cigar. And I told him that. I said, you're just a very relaxed man. And I think what that ball club needed was to relax because they were not catching the ball. Big guys were not hitting. And they needed to just take it easy. And Girardi had a lot of pressure on him. Thompson was his bench coach. Girardi's gone. Thompson comes in. People relaxed, and they started playing better.
Yeah, they were 24-29 on June 1st when Joe Girardi got let go. Thompson comes in 63-46 the rest of the way. And those Philly fans, they're so easy going. They took it easy on Girardi a little bit, right? So we'll just have to see how they go. Now, Philly, we know if you beat Santa Claus and you beat Mike Schmidt, then they're a little tough crowd out there. But let's talk about the Phillies a little bit. By the way, you brought up Jack McKeon. I was going to stump you, but you stumped me first. I was going back in the World Series years, and I was trying to think of a manager that came in the middle of the year to lead somebody to the World Series. I thought McKeon was there all year, but I go back to Bob Lemon in 1978, taking over for I guess Billy Martin in 1978. Of course, they still beat the Dodgers that year, but that's the last one that I could think of. But did McKeon come in the middle of the year? I don't know if you know that or not.
Yes, he did, and I'm thinking maybe Paul Owens also for the Phillies came in at some point, or Dallas Green. There was something that happened around that. I remember that. But yeah, Thompson came in middle of the year, McKeon middle of the year, and they both ended up in the World Series. Thompson, the nicest guy in the world. Nothing bothers him. And he's got a veteran team. He lets them play. And if they make an error or if the bullpen explodes a little bit, you don't see him pacing around or have a tough look on his face. He's relaxed, and I think it translated.
Marty Lurie, KBR Weekends, talking baseball for our San Francisco Giants pregame show. The guest here on the VPartySports podcast on Boston Battle Party. All right, so Bryce Harper has been in the spotlight ever since he came into the big leagues. Obviously, he still has a long way to go. He just turned 30 years old during the Cardinal series, I believe, in the wild card series. So he's injured. Now he's limited to DHing only, but his hitting has come back. Clearly, the offense that he's provided, the lift that he's given that lineup. Kyle Schwarber, 46 home runs. Rhys Hoskins, we know he strikes out a lot, but boy, he came up with some timely home runs in the playoffs, and especially against Atlanta and San Diego for sure. But that lineup is stacked, and I don't think they get as much credit as they do. You go 1-9. Gene Segura had a good year. He came off injury as well, too. Alex Bohm, Bryson Stott, a rookie. They released Didi Gregorius. Gregorius was a 25 home run guy for the Phillies and also with the Yankees before that. But Bryson Stott comes in, and then they make a trade, which I thought was underrated, for Brandon Marsh and the Angels to solidify their defense in Philadelphia. So what do you think about the Philadelphia offense and how they've turned it around both defensively and offensively from the time, not necessarily from Thompson's time, but maybe when Harper came back?
Well, they have a team of veterans, and they're playing that way. And Schwarber is not, he could go 0 for 20, and then again, he gets on base and starts hitting home runs, which he's done in this playoff. So they have a team of veterans. Segura hits a ball off the dirt. You got guys, Castellanos, who get a hit here and there. Hoskins was awful, and all of a sudden he ran into a bunch of home runs. Muto got the big double to get the winning rally started the other day. Then you get Harper, and Harper is a tough out right now, but they're facing an outstanding pitching staff. Outstanding. They have players. Philly's got players. Believe me, they've got players, and you have to respect them. Alec Bohm is a nice player. Stott at shortstop did well. Marsh in the outfield can't hit much, and you got Vierling who platoons with him. But they're no pushovers. And Houston does not throw the big fastball. Their starters are terrific, but they average 94.5 on the fastball, which, years ago you'd say, oh, my God, that's amazing. Well, in today's world, if you don't average over 95, you're a little bit hittable. So the starters for Houston, they have a little bit of difficulty with this team, maybe, but the bullpen for Houston is lights out. They've got a fifth guy, Stanek, who they don't even use. He's probably got the best numbers of everybody. And that's where the difference is when it comes to bullpen. Houston is loaded at that point. Defensively, the Phillies are a work in progress. Look, Hoskins is not a good first baseman. Segura is okay at second. Stott is okay at short. Bohm is not good at third. The corners of Schwarber and Castellanos are terrible. Marsh can get to stuff. He's got to do it. Muto, you're not going to run on him. He's a terrific catcher. And Ranger Suarez got the Gold Glove. So they're good and bad. But I wouldn't want to have to rely on the Philly defense to win a World Series for me. If they're going to win a World Series, it's going to happen with their pitcher. And Nola, who pitches tonight, and Wheeler can pitch 4 of the 7 games if it goes that far. Suarez is steady, but the key will be the bullpen. That would be the key for me. Dominguez and Alvarado, Bellotti, and those kind of Robertson, they've got to do their job at the end because the Houston bullpen will be just lights out at the end. Starting pitching for Houston's fabulous, but if they get in trouble, that bullpen is really good too. So it's a good matchup. Because look, Houston is very right-handed, and they don't kill the ball either. They got past Seattle in a very close series. The Yankees made so many mistakes, and Houston capitalized on the Yankee defense. Houston's not killing the ball here, even though they haven't lost the game yet. They're not killing the ball, and they're very right-handed. Nola and Wheeler are right-handed, and Wheeler can bring it. If he goes 6 innings at 97, he's doing well. Nola doesn't walk anybody. He said, 11 and 13, 13, 11, whatever he was. The guy struck out 240 and walked 39. He's vulnerable to one bad inning. That's been his problem. But if you get 6 good innings out of Wheeler and Nola, and they're right-handed, and they shut Houston down, we've got an exciting, low-scoring series.
So our guest Marty Lurie here at KNBR in San Francisco. I'm Basti VParty. I'm at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio on this Friday afternoon, getting ready for Game 1 of the World Series between the Phillies and the Astros tonight. Let's talk about Aaron Nola a little bit in the starting pitch, and we'll get to the bullpen in a second. Aaron Nola, we said he had an off year this year, 11 and 13, but you mentioned 240 strikeouts, 39 walks. I mean, unbelievable control.
No one's ever done that.
No one's ever done that. You're right. Almost 8-1 strikeout to walk ratio, unheard of for a starter. You think it was good for Rob Thompson? Obviously, he relaxed everybody. Rob Thompson to start Nola in Game 1 instead of Zach Wheeler. Wheeler's coming off the injury. An extra day's rest was his reasoning to take him off the his injury because you don't want to overuse him, obviously. And then you mentioned Ranger Suarez. I don't know if they're going to go to 4 starters or not, like most teams do in a 7-game series. You got Kyle Gibson there. You got Zach Eflin as well, although they're using him out of the bullpen now. So it's kind of a hodgepodge after Nola, Wheeler, and Suarez. So how do you see the starting pitching for the Phillies going after the Astros bats? Because they can hit. They don't strike out very much.
No, they don't. They make good contact. They barrel the ball up, so to speak. But Nola's a good starter. Why not? Give Wheeler as much rest as he can have. Because when you get to the 6th or 7th inning, his velocity goes down. And then you got to get him out. And then it's over to the bullpen. So give him an extra day's rest. They both can come back in normal rest for a second start in the series. If you have the off days for travel, not like the ALCS, NLCS, or the division, where we're straight through. So the way they've got it set up is fine. Suarez is fine for whatever he can do. But he is left-handed against a very right-handed Houston lineup. And that he does maybe neutralize Alvarez, who could be the best hitter in the game, and maybe Tucker a little bit. But they've still got some good right-handed hitting. Your question is a good question. Kyle Gibson's awful. He just gets lit up all the time.
After the 3rd inning.
I'd go with Syndergaard. Let's, give Syndergaard a chance. Who knows what if it's the 4th game and you're up 2-1, down 2-1, you're down 3-0, up 3-0. So a lot of it depends on where the series is at that point. But I would say for the Phillies, I'd rather see Syndergaard pitch than Gibson.
Yeah, I didn't think about Syndergaard. You're right. He came in season trade from the Angels as well. All right, you mentioned the bullpen a little bit. Corey Knebel started out as their closer. He had a rough start of the year. Their bullpen, very, very underperforming until Rob Thompson took over. I think the relaxation of Rob Thompson, you said you interviewed him and said a relaxing, quieting type of guy. And now Sir Anthony Dominguez, we knew he had the stuff coming in for the last few years. All of a sudden, he's lights out. Brad Hand's effective again. Zach Eflin. Who does?
Brad Hand.
Brad Hand is, but he's been key in this playoff series.
Forget it. He stinks.
All right. Well, they might need him for a left-handed hitter at some point. But anyway, Zach Eflin came in and got the save.
Him in the game.
Zach Eflin came in and got the save against Atlanta in the series. He's a right-handed guy. And Alvarado is their main left-hander out of the bullpen, and he's turned it around a little bit too. He's got a little cut on his fastball now at 100 miles an hour, which is unheard of as well too. And all of a sudden he's throwing strikes as opposed to walking to people. You see this bullpen turnaround in the second half for the Phillies that got them into the wild card, being the key for the Phillies. Obviously, Nola and Wheeler are going to go as far as they can go, but I got to think there's a quick hook for Suarez and the rest of the starters going forward in the series.
Yeah, I think so. And, Brad Hand has no command. Lottie is okay. But the other guy you didn't mention is Robertson. Robertson has got to help the back end of that bullpen. So when you get back Eflin and Robertson and Alvarado and Dominguez, look, one thing we learned from Bruce Bochy, you have to win today's game.
That's right.
And if it means bringing in Josh Hader in the 7th inning, you better do it. If it means bring in Alvarado in the 6th inning, you better do it. Because once that game gets out of control, you're done. And
There's no doubt.
this isn't a World Season; it's the World Series. You have to win today's game. So let's see how they manage it. But that bullpen of the Phillies, they've got some good arms. But let's see how Thompson deploys them. That will be a big key for me. But Robertson is a big guy with Eflin. Those are two that we don't talk about enough.
All right, I'll match your Brad Hand with David Robertson because I've seen him have wildness issues throughout the year this year, especially after he got traded from the Cubs to the Phillies. I know he had a lot of walk problems with Chicago, but I'll match your Robertson with Brad Hand. We'll see how it goes, but Rob Thompson has to make those decisions, not Marty Lurie and myself, so we'll go from there. But the Astros bullpen to me surprised me a little bit this year because I didn't think they were as good coming in. I knew Presley was good. Then they revamped it a little bit. Montero, Maton, Abreu, and the former Philly of all things, Hector Neris, all of a sudden he's found himself in Houston, and all part of the revamped bullpen that they've got for Dusty Baker, our old friend Dusty Baker here from San Francisco. But how about Ryan Presley and 33 saves? I mean, not a lot of people know outside of Houston who the Houston bullpen is, but they're outstanding. They've got 106 wins this year, and the bullpen a key part of it. While the starters, the 6 starters that they had, if you take away the 8 starts from McCullers and Hunter Brown had 2 starts, they made 152 starts if you include Odorizzi as the 6 starters, and they got 78 wins out of their starting pitching. So starting pitching to me was where it was at, and I was a little surprised about the bullpen, but the fact is that Ryan Presley has been lights out, and he's been the stud for the Astros bullpen. What do you think the key is for them, or how they turned it around a little bit? Because they struggled in the beginning of the year too a little bit.
Depth. The depth of the pitching staff is overwhelming because you get Ohtani and Javier in the middle. If there's any trouble, and these guys have been terrific. You get Garcia. How about him? So you've got 3 guys in the middle who can get you to the back end of that bullpen. And when the back end of the bullpen comes, they just throw rockets. Presley makes me nervous because he's more of a breaking ball pitcher. And if you hang it in a little park, you can have trouble. And that's a little park. That's a little park. Now, Will Smith has been added to the team. So that for the first time, the Astros will have a lefty reliever in the playoffs. Let's see what he does, because if you got to bring in Will Smith to get Harper, or Schwarber, it's not so simple for Will Smith. He's had trouble, but he will be a key part for me. But the thing about the Astros, Vasu, the depth of their pitching staff. Framber Valdez, Verlander, McCullers. Those are 3 right there. Then if you need a 4th guy, you got Urquidy, Javier, or Garcia.
Correct, yeah.
And then you've got all these rocket throwers, and Stanek is another one in the bullpen. So the big thing about this series to me is the depth of the Houston pitching. That to me will be the big thing, and that's on Dusty to make sure that he uses them properly.
Yeah, Dusty Baker managing the Astros. All right, let's go to the Astros offense a little bit. We all know about Altuve and Bergman. They've been there since 2017. I'm not crying anymore about 2017 as a Dodger fan because every year they seem to lose, so I got nothing to cry about 2017 with 2022 and 2021 and 2020 for my Dodgers. But the fact is that the Astros have played well, 106 wins. Altuve and Bregman have both, I don't know why I put Bergman down there. It's Alex Bregman. We all know that. Altuve and Bregman have struggled in the ALDS, but Bregman got hot against the Yankees. Altuve's still struggling. Alvarez was hot against Seattle, and then the Yankees shut him down a little bit. But and you mentioned him, one key guy that doesn't get a lot of recognition, although he's an all-star this year, is Kyle Tucker. I really like Kyle Tucker, a 30 home run guy, 107 RBIs, good eye at the plate, about an 800 OPS, and plays really good right field for them. I think he's going to be the key to bridge the top of the order to the bottom of the order for the Astros right there, Marty.
Yeah, Altuve's got a hit. He's 3 for 32 in the playoffs, so he's got to hit a little bit.
But they swept the Yankees. Without him, and I'm just saying
the Yankees played with a grease ball. They couldn't catch the ball, they couldn't throw the ball, they couldn't do anything. They handed it to the Astros. But Altuve's played good defense, where his defense was a problem. So he's number 1. He's got to hit a little bit. Then Alvarez, people say he's another Willie McCovey, and he's going to be a big part of what's going to happen. Forget, this is two small ballparks, 2 very small. That Crawford Fox thing, with pickups into that, Right field actually is short there too, and then Citizens Bank Ballpark is a yard where the ball goes quickly too. I think home runs will have something to do with this, even though if you're a home run hitting team, generally you don't like to get into a situation where you need a home run because these pitchers don't give up home runs. But I think the Astro offense is a decent offense. Alvarez and Tucker are keys for me. But then again, it's the top. It's Gurriel, Bregman, and those guys. It's a good matchup. But the Astro offense, this is not the 27 Yankees. They're not, as we like to say. They're not. They can be dealt with to some degree, but let's see what the lefties do because the Philly pitching staff, other than Suarez, you got a lot of righties. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good series. It's going to be fun.
And for those that are interested, the Astros are about a 2-1 favorite to win the series. Marty Lurie inferring the over on every game here with all the home runs going in. So we'll see how it goes. But you got a winner for me in the Astros-Phillies series?
Well, everyone in the world is picking the Astros. And I would think, knowing about baseball, what matters in the World Series? Pitching. What matters? Pitching in October. What matters is people who still throw hard in October. Dusty's got 10 pitchers like that. And the Phillies have 2 or 3. So I'll stick with the hard pitching. That's the key for me in baseball. The middle relief of Lincecum, the closer of, Brian Wilson for the Giants, and that stuff. For me, it's pitching. And the Astros pitching in October is still very, very, very strong. And I'll tell you another thing. You complain about the Dodgers as a Dodger fan. But look, this Astro team, this is their 6th ALCS and 3rd World Series that they're in since 2017. This is not a fluke. This is a very good baseball team and a good core that they've had.
Totally agree with you on that. All right. Last couple minutes here with Marty Lurie of KMBR in San Francisco. Giants pregame show on the weekends for 4 hours talking baseball. Love talking baseball with Marty Lurie. All right. We both know him. You know him a lot better than I do. I watched him as a kid in Los Angeles and watched him as manager in San Francisco growing up in the Bay Area. Dusty Baker looking for his first World Series as a manager. Now, he had time off between his Washington gig and when he came back to take Houston to the World Series. He's been there for 3 years. He took over for A.J. Hinch after he got suspended for the year after the whole cheating scandal. We all know about that. What do you see, knowing him a little bit that I do, and you knowing him a lot better, what do you see the difference in him now than when he was, besides experience, obviously experience matters, from the time that he started managing to now and how he's managing the Astros versus how he did earlier in his managerial career?
Well, I think he had to make more moves with the Giants, with their relief and pitching. I don't think he's got the pressure to make as many moves here because he's got a lot of people to deal with. And I think the difference is he can sit back and let Verlander go, and Urquidy go, and Valdez go. Valdez had 25 quality starts in a row, something like that. Verlander had, is going to win the Cy Young Award. So for me, Dusty can sit back a little bit more and let the game dictate what's going to happen, as opposed to him putting his mark on Mark Pryor or Kerry Wood or Rob Nen or some of the things that haven't worked for him in the past. He's a Hall of Fame manager. I think he'll sit back and he'll let this team play and not get in their way.
Yeah, hopefully their bats get going, and obviously they're pitching with Verlander. I'm assuming they haven't announced it officially yet, according to MLB.com, but I'm sure Valdez is going for game 2. He's the only he had all 3 complete games for the Astros. What happened to the complete game, Marty? We're old school. What happened to the complete game? All the bullpen guys.
They're not trained for it.
They're not trained for it at all. You're correct. They don't throw that many innings.
The last complete game in the World Series was Johnny Cueto.
Yeah.
Kansas City was the last complete game for a pitcher in the World Series. That's what, 2015, something like that.
Correct.
So it's just they don't do it. As soon as that velocity starts going down, or there's a couple of hard hits, or there's a matchup they don't like late in the game, they pull them out because you're not bringing in Stu Miller. to throw changeups. You're not bringing in Felix Rodriguez. You're bringing in guys who throw 100. That's the difference in the game today with these bullpens. Guys throw 100, and that's the difference. That's why the starters, all right, so Wheeler, instead of throwing 97, you're now throwing 94. We'll take you out and bring in Alvarado who throws 100. And that's why they do it.
No doubt about it. And that's the way teams are building their pitching staffs now. They build backwards now. They build from the ninth inning backwards. And hopefully your starters get 15 outs. Marty Lurie of KNBR on the weekends talking baseball for our San Francisco Giants pregame show. Can't let you go without talking about the Giants a little bit. We know they had a tough year this year, finished in the middle part of the division. Injuries and just not as consistent enough as they were last year. Kapler and staff are back with some changes looking to be made in the free agency this winter, and also hopefully some of their development comes through. What are you hearing? Because I heard the Yankees beat writer on with local radio here this week saying that looks like Aaron Judge will be a free agent. Now, hear me out on this. I'm not sure Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge would be a great player in San Francisco, but his whole success is right center field. And I think right center field would hurt his home run production in San Francisco because of how deep it is. And I'm not sure he's the best fit for the Giants in terms of one player for a team that needs more than one part for the team. Now, if they're going after Rizzo and Turner, as I read the other day, Trey Turner I'm talking about, and Rizzo the other day, whether they're going to spend money or not, they haven't yet. I have to see it first to believe it. So what say you coming off this year doing radio for the San Francisco Giants, Marty?
Well, it was an inconsistent year. They didn't catch the ball well. They were one of the worst in baseball in doing it. The bullpen disappeared after the All-Star break, and that sunk them for the season. So they didn't have a consistent year. And in baseball, you're looking for consistency. And look, the veterans and Belt, no Posey, Crawford had a bad year. Longoria got hurt. Rodon was terrific, but he's going to be gone. The veterans didn't make it happen. And that was the big problem for them in the year before they did. And Yastrzemski and Wade and all the guys that go through, they didn't have the year. So when you look at the team, you realize other than Rodon and Webb, that was it. Joey Bart didn't do much either. So they need help. And the thing is, they need a lot of help. But they also need someone who could lift the team and lift the clubhouse and lift the fan base. And that's Aaron Judge. And he can do it. And they can pay an average annual value contract that's similar to what the Yankees are going to offer. Years ago, if the Yankees wanted somebody, they got whoever they wanted because they spent more money than anyone in the world. Today, it's different. You can get a guy for 3 years for $150 million. It's different. You can do that, and the players are up for that too. Aaron Judge will hit home runs anywhere. He hit 62. He hit 39 before that. Roger Maris hit 61. The year before he hit 61, Roger Maris hit 39. Aaron Judge can kill mediocre pitching. He's not going to face the Houston pitching. He's not going to face the Cleveland bullpen. He's going to face a bunch of pitchers who can be hit, and he will hit them. He will lift the lineup. But you need somebody behind him, and you need somebody to get on base ahead of him, or else they'll walk him all the time. So you can bring in Aaron Judge, but you've got to figure out a way to protect him in the lineup and give him some hitters to drive in. And that's going to be the key. If you get Judge, who do you have around him? That's the key for me.
It's going to be an interesting offseason for the San Francisco Giants and the other 28 teams outside of the Astros and the Phillies who start the World Series tonight, game 1 and 2 in Houston, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 o'clock on the East Coast. The first 2 in Houston, the next 3 in Philly, and then game 6 and 7 back in Houston. Marty Lurie, I always enjoy talking baseball with you, no pun intended. 4-hour San Francisco Giants pregame show during the season. Enjoy your off season. Maybe we'll catch up and talk some hot stove baseball. Always love talking baseball with you. I appreciate you, and thanks for the time as always.
Well, it's a pleasure to be on, even though you cry about the Dodgers all the time.
Marty, we're fans first, Marty. We're fans first. You know that.
You got to win. That's the bottom line. You got to win. And this year the Phillies won, so it's exciting. It's a good look. The World Series, as I opened up, is fabulous.
Right.
And somebody who you didn't think of is going to have a big World Series to turn this thing around. And that's the fun of trying to figure out who that'll be. So I'll enjoy watching it with you.
Marty Lurie, after 25 years of knowing him, still taking shots at me. I appreciate it very much.
Right.
All right, Marty. All right, Marty. Appreciate the time. Hang on for a second. Let me say goodbye. We'll have a chat after. All right. Bussy Battle Party for the VPartySports podcast. Thanks very much to Marty Lurie of KNBR in San Francisco. Don't forget, at 4 o'clock Eastern, we'll have Dave Sims of the Seattle Mariners. We'll talk American League Baseball as well, too. And our Best Bet segment will come on a post only at 6 Eastern, 3 o'clock. Thanks to everybody on Bussy Battle Party. Have a great day. We'll see you at 4 o'clock. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.